Hello, everyone. I'm Karen Dalton, and I'm the public servant running against Scott Perry in the Republican primary on May 19th. I'm running as a Republican because I am one. I'm running because I spent over 25 years working as a staff attorney in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives for the House Republican Caucus. Over 20 of those years, I was counsel to the House Judiciary Committee, where I drafted and helped to enact legislation designed to help victims of domestic violence and sex offenses, especially child victims. I saw principled Republican leadership on a daily basis. I'm running because I don't see that principled Republican leadership coming from Donald Trump or Scott Perry, and it breaks my heart. I know I'm not the only Republican or the only citizen of the 10th Congressional District that feels that way. And because we don't have the principled Republican leadership of the Republicans I served, or of John McCain, or Margaret Chase Smith, or Ronald Reagan, we're suffering. Many families woke up today without health insurance. The war in Iran is costing $1 billion a day, yet there's no money to make sure our citizens go to the doctor when they're sick. We have veterans who no longer can access health care from the VA because Donald Trump, with Scott Perry's approval, has taken away over 35,000 healthcare jobs at the VA. This is not emblematic of the Republican Party I joined or the Republicans I worked for. It's also not what the citizens deserve, no matter what their party affiliation. May I please remind everyone that the Heritage Foundation originally proposed much of what we now know as the Affordable Care Act. The same people who brought you Project 2025 once proposed that everyone have health insurance. I lived through the hostage crisis in Iran during Jimmy Carter's presidency. I am heartbroken that Donald Trump, supported by Scott Perry, is making the same mistakes as Jimmy Carter. Americans are now stuck in airports across the Middle East because Donald Trump did not tell our people to come home before he started hostilities. Jimmy Carter did the exact same thing. He failed to get our people out of the embassy in Iran before allowing the Shah of Iran to come here for cancer treatment. That's what triggered the storming of the embassy. The day that Ronald Reagan took the oath of office, our hostages were freed. During the campaign against Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan talked about the misery index, the combination of inflation and unemployment. We're now faced with a growing Donald Trump Scott Perry misery index. Inflation is higher than 4% and rising. We just lost 92,000 jobs in February. The price of gasoline, groceries, housing, cars, furniture, and other things we need are further and further out of reach. Repeating the mistakes of the past, Donald Trump has no exit strategy in Iran. He can't even articulate the imminent threat to our nation from Iran. Donald Trump recently threatened the Iranian regime if they close the Strait of Hormuz. That's the narrow waterway in which 20% of the world's oil and natural gas and a lot of cargo pass through on the way to markets here and around the globe. May I please tell everyone that Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz over a week ago. That's why, when I went to buy gas the other day, it was up 50 cents a gallon. For families who struggle to buy food, how are they supposed to afford gas at almost $4 a gallon? For those people already choosing between food and medicine, how are they supposed to come up with gas at $4 a gallon? For farmers already struggling with tariffs, how are those farmers supposed to pay the increased cost of fertilizer and farm equipment that the war in Iran has wrought? Scott Perry announced on X his support for the war in Iran and for all the real-life consequences I just described. Shockingly high gasoline prices, which companies then pass along to us in higher prices for groceries, electricity, and everything else, by writing this, and this is a direct quote, "To the people of Iran, your hour of freedom has arrived. Take back your government," unquote. Regime change is something we've never been able to achieve. Not in Vietnam, not in Iraq, not in Afghanistan. And that's not the fault of our military heroes who perform so bravely and sacrifice so much. That's the fault of civilian leadership. Why don't Donald Trump and Scott Perry learn from past mistakes? As in previous wars, our brave men and women in uniform and their families and the entire country deserve civilian leadership as smart and capable as our fighting forces. Scott Perry says he wants to liberate the people of Iran, yet he fails to stand up for the citizens here, the ones who sent him to Congress, by standing up for them in the fight to keep prices down, in the fight to make healthcare affordable, in the fight to make the Constitution a living document where citizens can peacefully assemble and seek redress of grievances without being harmed by their own government, where their Bill of Rights is respected and the Constitution is the law of the land for everyone who calls America a home, including Donald Trump and Scott Perry. These are all the reasons why I took what little money I had, my tax refund and 2 coin jars, and decided to run against Mr. Perry in the May 19th Republican primary. Nominating petitions were recently due, and I did not get the 1,000 signatures needed to get on the ballot. But that does not mean the fight is over. I ran against Mr. Perry to listen to and stand up for the people he has long ignored. That's why I held 3 in-person town halls in under 5 months. That's why I visit senior citizen centers, high schools, and shopping malls. That's why I visit people in their homes. It's also why I am not getting out. If you want to vote for me, please write my name in. You can write Karen Dalton on either your mail-in ballot or when you come to the polls. To me, a write-in campaign is the ultimate expression of democracy. You can still have your voice heard. You can still tell Scott Perry he must do better. If I get a significant portion of the primary vote on May 19th, Scott Perry will no longer be able to ignore you, because if he keeps ignoring you after the primary, he will be sent home. I started with a little bit of money, an idea, and my faith. My faith teaches that we are often asked not to complete the fight, but to simply begin it. And that's what I've done. The campaign has morphed into something bigger than I ever thought possible. And I'm extremely proud of everything accomplished and so grateful to the many people who helped me. They are democracy's unsung heroes. I personally have gained so much. I have met everyday heroes, teachers, firefighters, senior citizens, pastors, students, to name but a few. Their stories are now my story. Their struggles are now my struggle. Their fight to be heard and seen is my fight too. That fight continues in the form of a write-in campaign. On May 19th or earlier, if you have a mail-in ballot, please consider writing in Karen Dalton in the space allowed for a write-in candidate. I'm Karen Dalton, an independent Republican, a Republican with a heart, a Republican you can trust. Please go to my website, votekd, my initials, 4c.com. That's votekd4c.com to learn more. If you contact me, I will get back in touch with you. I won't ignore you the way Scott Perry does. Democracy is literally in our hands. If you want to be seen and heard by Scott Perry, please write me in. Karen Dalton. May 19th, Republican primary. Bye-bye now.